and then it will grow if you just let it do its thing. So that was a light bulb moment. Same thing with the stock market. I go in and I see like stocks like AMD. It was AMD specifically. I bought AMD for like $10 a share, and then when I looked at it in 2020, it was like $60-something a share, $70 a share. So I'm like, oh, 7-8x your money just by buying and holding and being patient and letting it take its course. So that was a big lesson in investing there. All right, welcome to another episode of SAYless doMORE. Introduce yourself to the people. Yes. So my name is Dale, aka just Dale. Oh, yeah, it's always just Dale. Everybody always just knows me as Dale. So okay, so one thing that is very catchy, and I've been seeing it around randomly, is your brand consistency is key. Yeah. Tell me how that came about. All right, so consistency is key. It's a mindset thing, right? So I used to talk to this girl, still a good friend of mine, and she was in the clothes, and she had her own brand that we're trying to do some stuff, and she was into clothes, and I was into the mindset and the investing and all that kind of stuff. So she's like, oh, you should make something. Since I have the merch and stuff, we should make something that kind of has that message. And I'm like, I like the idea. So we just started playing with different things or whatever. And then
you have hustle, stack, invest, repeat too.
Right, exactly. Right. So when you tie it all together, the hustle, stack, invest, repeat, which is trademarked by the way, is embodies like everything. So your hustle can be anything. Your hustle can be going to school. Your hustle can be working. Your hustle can be just whatever it is you need to do. So say, for example, you want to use the school example. You're hustling, you're learning, you're going to school. You're stacking up your knowledge, your credits, and then you're taking that and investing into what you want to do for your future. And you just keep repeating it until you get to where you want to be. So it just goes for every aspect of life. The hustle is the work. The stacking is the planning. And the investing is the execution with what you've done. And then the do it again, consistency. So that's ties together.
So yo, Dale, let me ask you this. Did you come out with them both at the same time, or was one in front of each other?
It was always together. So the idea was, you see me come in, you see this, and you're like, oh, I like that. I can get with that. And then the back, I purposely made it really big so that anytime I was out somewhere, it's something you would be able to see from across a room and start a conversation. So that's like, this is like a conversation piece. So the clothing part of my brand is really, it's a conversation starter. It's promo, brand recognition, because I can never wear this merch without somebody stopping me and saying, oh, I like that merch, or what's that about, or tell me about it. So it's always a good conversation starter.
Okay, so there's a segment in my show. I'm going to do it kind of early right now. ChatGPT. I take the person's brand. And I run it through ChatGPT. And see how accurate it is.
Okay.
And you tell me if it's accurate or not.
Okay.
The term Black Wealth Collective. Oh, you know what? Before we even get into that, you have to briefly top on that, because you have hustle, stack, invest, repeat.
Yes.
Consistency is key.
Yes.
So now the Black Wealth Collective.
Okay.
So how does that tie
together? Okay. So I don't know if you're familiar or if the audience is familiar with Earn Your Leisure. They're like a platform out of the US, financial literacy platform. And they came to Toronto to do an event. And I didn't know there was so much people in the city that were interested in business, finance, entrepreneurship, because I never saw them. So when I went and saw the place was so packed, I'm like, yo, there has to be a way for us to all get together. So I started to think, like, what does that look like? And I was like, we need a collective. We need to build wealth. And the way you build wealth is with community and collectively. So then Black Wealth Collective, that's how it came about.
There's a segment in my show where I take the person's brand and I run it through ChatGPT. And I want you to tell me if it's accurate or not. Yeah. So I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Because when I started to read, I remembered, okay, yeah, and tell
that.
yeah, because I was trying to get you on here for a minute. But as I see on your Instagram, you're outside.
I'm all over it.
Yeah, we're going to get into that too. The term Backward Collective refers to the organization dedicated to promoting financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and economic empowerment within the Black community. Notable examples include the Black Wealth Collective. This organization focuses on connecting entrepreneurs through events, podcasts, and merchandise aimed at fostering financial education and community growth. Their mission is to empower individuals through financial literacy, community engagement, and entrepreneurship. How accurate is that?
Very accurate.
That's good, man. That's good.
Very accurate. So that's how it started. So it started with the vision of finding a way to be able to branch all of the people together in the city that are entrepreneurs and are doing things and allow them to be able to collab and have a place of reference.
Yeah.
So I mostly on my social media will promote other brands. If there's events, networking, I'm always posting stuff. Mindset, every day is a mindset post so people to get their mind right and get in the proper frame of mind, because that's like the most important part of success is your mindset. You can't do anything until you set your mind right to do what it is that needs to be done.
What is crazy too, to bring it back, because like I said, we're going to talk about the brand, but I look at this platform, just a laid back conversation, and I remember when we had the conversation about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And he gave me some interesting insights on it. And one of the insights you gave me is how fast, I think you told me how fast it scans the internet. Was it you?
No, it wasn't me.
Was it Alvar? But there was something interesting you were telling me though. I didn't have a conversation about.
Yeah, so what I was saying is a lot of people use ChatGPT kind of like how they use Google, just basic searches, when they don't realize it's a language learning tool. So basically, the more you input into it, is the more accurate and the more things it can do for you. So the way I use ChatGPT is I'll have hour-long conversations. I'll spend an hour a day just inputting my plans, my goals, things I want to do, and it starts to get to know you more and more and more, and starts to understand what it is you're trying to do. So as you do that more and more, now I can just go on ChatGPT and say, hey, make me a post, and it'll know what I'm on. It'll know to make a post that has to do with financial literacy, positivity, mindset, because now it understands the type of person I am based on the things that I input into it.
Okay, so another thing that we were talking about too is, and if you could explain to the people. So now I didn't know that there's a ChatGPT that you could pay for.
Yes.
So what is the difference for the one that you could pay for and the one that's free?
So the pay for model, well, now there's even another level that's like, I think 200 US a month. So it just gives you different access to different levels of computing. So on the basic free one, you'll get like decent responses, more general stuff. But when you want like real computing power, like say you wanted to do something super analytical, like you had a whole bunch of formulas and we're doing research for super technical stuff, the paid versions have like more computing power behind it. So it's more analytical. So we'll dive way deeper into each question and actually take a lot of time like figuring out different answers. It has better reasoning stuff.
Yeah. I've heard of people, there's a guy that came on this show, and I was watching his Instagram, and he was using it for therapy.
Yeah,
like people use it as a form of therapy.
Yes, people use it to read to their children. Like they'll input and be like, I want my child to be able to be good at math. So every day, tell them a story that relates to math. Like you could use it. It's all in. A lot of people are afraid of AI because they think, oh, it's just going to take away all the jobs. But you have to look at AI as a tool, because you have artificial intelligence, which is ChatGPT, etc.
Yeah. artificial intelligence.
You have artificial intelligence, but then it still requires natural intelligence. So shout out to 19.
Because you have to type it in to begin with.
Right. So shout out to 19 Keys. He was coming up with the concept of when you put artificial intelligence with natural intelligence, then that gives you something else. Artificial intelligence on its own is just a computer. So you have to think of it as a way to be able to do tasks more easily and to use it to help what you're doing.
Your last month, what's your daily routine been like? Because I know it's been kind of different.
Yeah, last month a little bit different. Last month, the past actually 2 or 3 months has been different because I was working on a project with a friend of mine, and that'll bring up a whole other point of just collaboration and your network and stuff like that. So over there, I've been waking up in different cities, like you see this land and exactly out west. So it's like waking up, going on site, figuring out what I have to do to get the project done or whatever. So that was kind of outlier because it was a special project or whatever. But typically my days look like I wake up and the first thing I do is I look at the stock market. So I'm up, I'm looking at the market, seeing what the market is doing, because I'm also very much so, as part of the financial literacy, I'm big into investing in the stock market and stuff like that as well.
How'd you get into investing in the stock market?
Okay, so that's a good one too. So initially how I got in, it's something I've always been aware of, but again, in our community and just generally, when you don't know where that information
nobody's really talking about it when you're
exactly, you don't really know how to get into it. So funny story, one day because I read a lot, one day I was reading something and I saw an article and it said, if you had invested $100 in Apple in 1992 or something like that, you'd have like 3 M's or something kind of like that, right?
Shit.
Right. Yeah. So I saw it, I got mad. Literally, I got mad because I'm like, so you mean to tell me, I was smart enough to just take $100 and invest in this thing. So right then, at that exact moment, I went on Google and I was like, how do you buy stocks? Literally, I just took everything that was in my bank account at the time and I put half of it into buying stocks. And then, funny story, the same thing on how I got into cryptocurrency. Saw a story about some guy spent $30 on Bitcoin in 2009 and it was worth like over 100 M's. Saved and got mad through a fit. And I was like, how do I buy Bitcoin? So I literally got into investing just from seeing that article and just realizing that, this is how rich people are really building crazy wealth.
Okay, so now, Barb, I have this platform. I also like to bring awareness, right? So now I can tell that you're very deep into it, right? So you have to think now, we have people from all different walks of life, right? Yeah. So what would you say to someone to tell them, you know what? Pay attention to stocks, get into it. Trust me, get into it.
Yeah.
Or even into crypto. Because one thing, crypto can be, are you one of those people that are in their phone, checking their phone every 2 seconds?
No.
Really, they so down
no. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because from my experience, the biggest gains I ever saw in crypto was when you just, every paycheck, take $100, $200 and just buy, and just never look at it. Yeah. And then 5-6 years go by, and then you look and then see the crazy gains.
What's your press up to do that? That's discipline to do that, because no, it is. It's your money. You don't see how this is doing.
It is discipline, but it's your mindset going into it, right? If you understand that all investment has risk, and you look at the risk to reward. So if you say, okay, I'm pulling in $1,000 a week, just as an example, if you're saying I'm pulling $1,000 a week, what's your risk appetite? Can you sleep at night if you lose $50 out of the 1,000? Can you sleep at night if you lose 100? So you determine what that appetite for risk is, and then just accept that that's money that might be gone. But potentially, it could 10x, it could 100x. So it's just in how you look at it. A lot of people, what happens is you hear the hype, Bitcoin's going 100,000, you get rich, and then you feel like you can get rich quick. So you want to try to take everything you have, and you're like, it's that mentality of flipping. It's that flipping mentality we had growing up, right? Okay, I need to take the 10,
flip it, I'm gonna make 20, and then that 20 and I'll make a 40. And it's like that flipping mentality that gets us in trouble because we look and we're like, oh, well, if people are making money, I can just put the, everything in and then it might flip it and then whatever. But we want to skip the education and the patience part. And then that's a big part of the platform too, is the awareness and the education. So for me, it was informing myself, right? So that's who you follow on Instagram. What kind of content do you take in? Who knows more than you that you can learn from? So when this crypto thing started, I went and there's a platform. I don't remember what the platform is called right now, but basically there's a whole bunch of different courses you can take on this platform online, $10, $15. And I took one on cryptocurrency. What is blockchain? How does it work? So it's like you can't skip the steps. Like you have to, if you want to be into something, then you can't skip the steps. You have to read about it, find out who has the knowledge, and be willing to put in the time to be knowledgeable so you can make decisions based on knowledge and not just based on like some hype or some feeling.
Can I ask you a question? When did you first get into cryptocurrency stock market?
2017.
Okay.
And funny story. So I got in and I was like, every paycheck, $200. I put $200 into the stock market, $200 into crypto. And I was doing this for a good 9-10 months, almost a year. And then lost my job. And then so I had to kind of stop putting the money in and then kind of just forgot about it. Because then you know how it gets. You're trying to hustle and grind and try to figure out, get your money right or whatever. So I left it alone for 3 years. And then 2020 hit, pandemic. And then people started talking about Bitcoin again and the stock market. And I was like, wait a minute, I have some stuff. I go look, the 3 or 4 bands I must have had in crypto, like in 2017 was like 25, almost 30 bands was just sitting there. And I was like, oh, okay. So you invest, leave it, and then it will grow if you just let it do its thing. So that was a light bulb moment. Same thing with the stock market. I go in, and I see like stocks like AMD, it was AMD specifically. I bought AMD for like $10 a share. And when I looked at it in 2020, it was like 60 something dollars a share, $70 a share. So I'm like, oh, 7-8x your money just by buying and holding and being patient and letting it take its course. So that was a big lesson in investing there.
You're a strong believer of never quitting, right?
100%.
Where did that mentality come from? Because like, you know what I mean? You can get discouraged if months go by, you're not seeing change the end of the day. So where does that drive come? Where you're like, I know for a fact, like some people, sometimes people don't know when to hang it up. Like, this is not working. I need to try something else. But tell me the thin line between giving up, this is not the right way to go, and how your mentality of not quitting, like that, where did that stem from? And like,
so it's a good question, and they're kind of related, but not exactly the same. So the not giving up part is kind of just finding a way to understand that what you're doing is a good idea, and where you get that confidence that's a good idea. Like for me, for example, with the investing and things like this, or like for us, we like to play sports and stuff like that. So the mentality is, that if you want your jumper to get nice, the more time you spend in the gym, the better the jumper gets. So it's just taking from life experiences and understanding that the more you do something, you're going to get good at it with the repetitions. So for me in 2020, when I found the Earn Your Leisure platform, I started to really drop the watching Netflix and whatever. And I'd start to just solely be looking at financial literacy stuff, business stuff. And I start seeing all of these guys that are, in their 30s with their story where they're starting with this money. And I'm watching all of these guys go, like literally become millionaires in my face as I'm watching them do it. So a lot of it also comes from seeing someone do it and then saying to myself, well, if they could do it, what's the difference between them and me? They just stuck with it and got there. So for me, it's just seeing the example. And then just understanding that, anything that's worth having doesn't come easy. So that quitting thing, I think, is when you feel like it's getting too hard. So I always just try to go a bit further. And then to the other point of realizing when nigga it's time for a pivot is when they call it in business, is when you've been doing something, you can honestly say you've been putting your 100%, and for some reason it's just not working, even though you've been giving your best and your all consistently. That's when you have to sit back and look at yourself and say, okay, is there maybe a different way I can be doing this? And this is also why mentorship is important too. That's another point, right?
I have questions,
right? So, and you start to, your circle is very important too. So maybe you need to start hanging out in different circles with different people that can give you different insights. That might help you pivot. So I think it's just being honest with yourself as well. Like, for instance, something like trying to make the league, right? Okay, you're going to put in the work. You're going to go to the gym every day. You're going to try for all these teams. But at some point, you know, if you hit a certain age or you've tried out for 100 teams and you're not making the teams, like at that point, you have to say, like,
yo, I'm not.
Okay, I'm good and I'm putting in the work, but maybe there's a different way for me to do this, or that's not my calling. Maybe I don't need to be playing in the league. Maybe I need to be coaching in the league. So sometimes you have to go all the way away from what it is you're trying to do, but you just need a different perspective on how you fit into that thing that you're trying to do.
All right, Bums. I'm going to talk about it now since you brought it up. Mentorship. So obviously, I guess you use it.
Yes.
And you believe it's effective.
Super effective.
Right. So Wishro. All right. So how do you feel about the people that charge
I
for
think
mentorship?
I think it's valid, but on that same topic of so to answer your question simply, I don't think there's anything wrong with charging.
Yeah.
I think the real question is, how do you know that it's worth paying somebody? How do you identify that someone is worth paying to get mentorship? And the way that I've figured out how to navigate that is you look at the type of value they bring without pay. So for example, I follow people again, like Earn Your Leisure, or Aristotle Investments, Wall Street Trapper, Him 500. There's all these guys I follow. And the reason why I follow and believe in them is because every week, consistently, they're doing hour, 2 hours, 3 hours worth of content, giving you actual valuable information that it could be charging for. So I look at it as when somebody's willing to give you free value, but then they want to charge you for the nitty gritty, like the handling. So they're going to show you, okay, these are some stocks you can invest in, whatever, surface level, give you an understanding of the market. Cool. What you're paying for is that focus expertise. Because now, yeah, you could say, okay, invest in Apple, it's good. But now you need to pay to understand why you're investing in Apple. How do you evaluate a company? How do you do this, do that? So I think mentorship is very important. And I think it is, put it this way, everybody I follow that are multimillionaires spend 6 figures on mentorship every year. And that's a fact. Like if you follow any of these guys, they'll tell you they spend 100K plus on masterminds, mentorships, conferences, all these places to get in these rooms with the people that can actually make a difference in what it is they're trying to do.
So speaking of that, I have one more question about mentorship, but I follow a guy named Michael J. McDonald.
Yes.
And I randomly follow because he just has some good perspective of life. And one day I see them hear you up one day.
Yes.
So I wonder, like, how did that connection come about?
Shout out to Michael J. McDonald.
Yeah.
For all those that don't, Michael J. McDonald is one of the co-founders of the Earn Your Leisure brand.
Yeah.
He's the behind the scenes guy, operations guy.
Yeah.
So if it's time for a story time, I could probably make it maybe like a 5-6 minute story.
Yo, you have time, bro.
Okay, so circling back to why I started this whole thing, inspired by Earn Your Leisure, went to one of their events, and you know they brought the city out back-to-back sold-out shows, and I happened to see a guy that was with them that I didn't recognize, but I was like, he's with them though, but I've never seen him on their show or anything. So, and he has like a Toronto vibe, so I'm like, okay, I kept that in my mind. It's very observant. So I'll give your audience a hack. I think I'm actually going to write a book with some of these principles, actually. So that's coming, but I'll give them this hack. So I went to this event and I was seeing all these Black people from the community in the room talking about this guy owns a law practice. This guy owns a plumbing company. This guy owns a construction company. I'm like, who are all these people? So I leave the event and I go home. I go on Instagram and I search for anybody that made a post about that event. I went onto their page and their stories to see what it is they do. Yeah. And then when I identified, oh, this guy owns a development company, dope. Let me follow him. This person. So I start to follow all these people and I start engaging on their platform so that they keep seeing the Black Wealth Collective. You know, on Instagram, you're going to keep seeing the Black Wealth Collective liked your post, the Black Wealth Collective. Yeah. So this is a hack for people in terms of networking. So I was doing this with M5V Developments, Priscilla, and a few other people that I identified in the city that were like really doing things. And I also had great content and great value. So it wasn't just like something for myself. It was like actually genuinely like, yo, these people are doing their thing. I want to know more. So anyways, shorten up the story a bit. I happen to, Earn Your Leisure comes back to Toronto to do a brunch. And me, I'm very intentional. So now I have this brand. So in my mind, I'm like, I want Earn Your Leisure to be aware of my brand. So I made sure to have a whole bunch of t-shirts and hoodies made. I had met them one time, asked everybody their size. So this is just stuff you do when you want to be intentional with stuff. So I go to this brunch now with EYL. I pull up to the brunch and I see Michael's there, Rashad, like all of their friends from Atlanta, like basically pure M's in the building, right? But again, I don't go in, I'm not asking for nothing. And I happen to see Priscilla, who I happened to meet at another event, and she's like, she saw this and she's like, oh, I know who you are. I always like my post. Nice to meet you in person. So build a rapport or whatever. So I'm at this event and I see her, and now she's also affiliated with M5E, with Sherrard, because they work together, but I'd never met him before. So again, I'd say hi to her, obviously to be courteous and to make sure you keep your connection strong. And then he sees me and he's like, hey, how you doing? I like introduce myself, like, yeah, I'm always watching your content or whatever, sharing your stuff. And he's like looking, and he's like, sees this, he's like, oh, I know who you are. I just see it. That's me. So he's like, yo, I have somebody you need to meet. Yeah. He walks me over to Michael McDonald. Oh, that's big, bro. So he walks me over and he's like, yo, this guy in the city's always showing love. He has this dope merch, and he need to talk to him, whatever. So now I'm talking to Michael. And he's like, yeah, the merch is dope. He's like, so do you have any with you? And I'm like, I do, but it's in my car. I have some stuff for everybody because I was planning to give it to everybody at the meet and greet tomorrow. Yeah. And he's like, there's no tomorrow. He's like, there's no tomorrow. Because I was planning to do it tomorrow. He's like, there's no tomorrow. He's like, look, Rashad is there. Ian's there. This person. I was like, you have over probably 10 million people worth of influence right here. And you don't have your stuff. And I go, okay. I was like, no, you're right. And again, this is another lesson in ego, emotion, and things like this. I took my ego out of it completely. I wasn't offended by it. I didn't feel like he was trying to get at me. I listened because here's someone that's where I want to be. Yeah. Right. And that's something we have to recognize. Like when there's somebody that's where you want to be, you have to listen sometimes. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Yeah, so you should be listening twice as hard as you talk. Say less, do more. Yeah. So anyway, so I said, okay, yeah, cool. It was nice meeting you. I go walk 8 blocks in the rain to my car. I already had everything backed up because remember, I had this in my plan. So from April, I had it in my mind, I'm going to meet these guys again. So that's manifestation, intentionality. So from April, I knew I'm going to meet these guys again. And I'm going to get my merch in their hands. Walk the 8 blocks one way, all the bags, bring it back up to the rooftop. And then I start, hey, what's up? Just handing out to the guys like, oh, nice to meet you. Because this whole time I haven't interrupted them, nothing. I was just like, not to interrupt you, but I have this for you.
Don't mean to cut you off. Yeah. When you have your brand in your hand, that's the easiest way in. Easiest way to say hi.
Yep, exactly. So
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
hand it out to everybody and like, okay, thanks, appreciate it, whatever. And I see Michael looking from across the room. So he's kind of looking like, oh, so this guy's straight acid. Like I told him he should be doing something and he didn't hesitate, didn't try to make an excuse about it. He just took in what I said and then right away did something. So within that same hour, I leave there, my phone starts blowing up like 20 minutes after I leave the spot. Yo, we're over at this spot and we see 19 Keys has your hoodie on. I'm like, oh, okay, dope. And then I get a DM from Michael and he's sending me pictures with 19 Keys wearing the hoodie. So I'm like, okay, that's dope. Appreciate it or whatever. So basically the point of the story is I was willing to listen to what he had to say. I was willing to take action immediately on what he had to say. And through that action, it put my merch on someone with over 1 million followers on Instagram. So immediately put my merch in front of 1 million people just from those two things. And then he basically DM'd me to show this is the proof that if you listen and take action and don't waste time, this is what can happen. Next day, more people start messaging me, yo, Rashad's wearing your hoodie on Market Mondays. Again, that's a show that gets over, I don't know, 300,000 views and they have over 2 million followers. So this is how that whole thing starts with me and Michael. So from then, every time I see him, it's always love.
So you were in Atlanta when you met him?
I was in Toronto.
Oh, you're in Toronto? Yeah, that's right.
So then they do their event in Atlanta. They're in InvestFest. Guess who's going to InvestFest? Because now momentum, which is another lesson. When you have attention and momentum, you have to run with it. You can't let momentum die down. You can't let people lose that attention. So
you forget who you is.
So I was very intentional of their event was a couple of weeks afterwards. So I'm going to their event and then they're going to see me again and they're going to keep seeing me and just get more familiar with me. And then that's how I start to build a relationship with some of the people that are associated with them.
That's big, brother. What are the some of the things that you do to stay sharp? Because I know, like, you can have like certain situations in your life, like for instance, you've lost a loved one.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
So like, I know personally how close you are.
Yeah.
So like, if you were to be like just to kick up or like,
yeah,
last year was rough, I didn't really do too much, I lost someone.
Yeah.
Bro, a lot of people would understand.
Yeah.
It'd be like, yo, I kind of understand, like, fuck, they were close.
Yeah.
How do you, what drives you, brother?
For me, it's awareness. It's like a lot of people, like you said, can choose to say, like, for example, Long Live Redz. He and I used to always have conversations about doing these things. Like he was the one in the family that we always had conversations about business, hustling, generational wealth, life insurance, trust. Like these were always our conversations, right? So it's like something bad happens and you can choose to take a break and there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody grieves differently, does things differently. But for me, I'm so cognizant of time. Like just losing him like that showed me just how short it can be.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes things feel more urgent. So it's like an urgency I get when I'm like, yo, still haven't done this, still haven't done that. And it's like, if I take time off, it's going to put me even further behind. So what continues to drive me is always having your goals in focus, like always know like, yo, I'm trying to get to X amount of M's. There's 20 odd young children, nieces, nephews, godchildren. And if nobody else is doing it, it's like, I have to do it. So it's just understanding my mission and not let anything come in between that. Like, obviously I took my time to grieve. Like also now it's not something, well, it's something I'll probably never be over. But when I think of him, I just think of everything we talked about we want to do. Now it's like, I have to do.
Are you set to elevate your fitness journey? Hardcore Ape Fitness merges top-tier workout gear with bespoke training programs tailored to your ambitions. Experience ultimate comfort and resilience with our apparel, allowing unrestricted movement in every session. Whether you aim to gain strength, shed pounds, or boost endurance, we've got you covered. It's not just about fitness, it's a lifestyle revolution. DM a hardcore ape.fitness to begin your transformation.
Follow him. Yo, have to follow this guy. If you don't, you're a piece of shit.
We were gonna do it. Now I have to do it. So that's why I can't afford to ever let up.
So I see that you get out a lot.
Yes.
Do you go around? So how do you balance entrepreneurship and like free time for yourself? Like, put it this way, do you even have any days off?
I typically no.
Do you try to give yourself days off?
Not really, because for me it's like the mission is incomplete. Because how I see it, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I get to where I want to go,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the freedom to do whatever I want.
Okay.
And back to that momentum piece, like again, I won't say I don't take breaks or because you need to. Like for example, because of the project I was doing just recently, it was kind of out of the norm. So over the Christmas break, I took like 5 days and I took the girlfriend to Mexico. So I did.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to ask you, because I was like, yo, bro, like at the same time, everybody around you, you affect people that deal with you directly. So I'm just like, I was gonna ask you if you're dating someone,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, women are the ones that really want you to take the time off, like, you know, or else they won't feel important. Some women are different, but like at the same time, women are women. They know time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and turn off the phone, like.
And an important point about that is, and I think that a lot of us have trouble with this, is kind of knowing who you're dealing with or getting with the wrong person or getting with people for the wrong reasons. So the only how I even ended up in a relationship with my current girl is we actually met at Invest Fest. So that entrepreneur conference or whatever, we actually met there. So she herself has 3 different businesses and hustles and things she does. So she very much understands the space of, you know, the networking and the events and the merch and the doing markets and whatever the case may be. So I think that's been my saving grace, is that because of those things that we have in common, she has an understanding of it. So it's still very important. So it's obviously still like I was gone from November. I just got back on like Thursday. So I might have, in 4 months, I think I've seen her like 2 or 3 times. So it's like a lot of people won't manage to deal with that, but it's like being intentional. It's FaceTime every day. It's making sure to stay locked in and tapped in and stuff like that. And then when you do have time, like you said, being very intentional with that time. So phone down, go away somewhere where there's nobody to distract anything, and just making sure you get some quality time when you can.
I really want to touch your family with you, because I could just draw too that you're very big on that, very big on family, and I don't want to lose base on the family situation, but I want to ask you if you could go back, because you seem very grounded, very well, like, you know, your parents did a great job with you. But if you could go back, what kind of younger advice would you give yourself?
This is good, because the biggest thing that I identified as I got older that held back a lot of progress when I was younger is 2 things. One is trying to live for other people and other people's dreams. So when I was younger, I had a big tendency to not be too concerned with myself and what I had going on. I was always like, okay, what does this person need? How can I help this person do what they're doing? And I always had a focus on trying to help everybody around me and always neglecting my own wants or needs in favor of other people's. So that's one main thing I'd say, is that people, it's not selfish to focus on yourself and do the things that you want to do for yourself. Because when you work on yourself, you become the best version of yourself. When you're the best version of yourself, everybody around you that you're trying to do for gets the best version of you. So that was one. And then 2, something I haven't really talked about a lot is like a confidence component. It's like
A what?
Confidence component. If you're believing in yourself, just believing that like you have good ideas, that you can do things, that you can achieve things, and not letting like that lack of confidence deter you from trying things or make you afraid to do things and fail because you're afraid of how people are going to view that. Like when you're confident in yourself, you don't care how people view you or if people are going to look at you in a kind of way if you mess this thing up or fail at that, whatever. So those are the two biggest things I'd probably tell my youngest self.
Lessons. We're gonna go back to the family. So now I want you to tell me some lessons that your parents told you and that you valued, and you're like, yeah, you know what, this is real knowledge.
You know, funny enough, not to slight my parents, but we grew up at a time where our parents didn't really, and this is controversial, so you guys tell me what you think in the comments about this one.
Yeah.
We never really got raised by our parents. And I say this, hear me out. Our parents, we came here for the time when our parents always at work. Like my parents were entrepreneurs. They had their own store.
Yeah.
So I'd wake myself up, make myself breakfast, get myself to school.
Yeah, but it must, I give you like a 1-2 gems, like, you know, always keep God in your life, or like always pray. Like my pops was always like, yo, the right woman, education. Was it the right woman, education, and God?
So then I would say, based on something like that, I would say it was family. It was always cause you know me. So me and my cousins, we grew up like brothers. So we're cousins, but we very much grew up like how brothers would grow up. So I think that was the main thing. It was always like, you know, it's you and your family. So I think that was the most important thing, because we always had each other's back. If people don't know, like we had like 6, 7 of us. We had one in high school. Like we've always had our backs, and having that support and that understanding of the assignment of, yo, you always have to watch for your family. It's family's all you got. I'll say that was the biggest thing.
What was your childhood like at home, like the neighborhood? Like, so when you were younger, what were you doing? Like, were you going to the ball court, or you were just go there?
So we have to
Hang around at the mall, or like, but we still
we have the different phases, right? So when I'm little, like, you know, 5, 6 years old, I'm in like Jaden Shoreham, like on girls' way.
I see it
Around that, right?
I didn't know.
Then from there we go to Rexdale. So it's a lot of Orpington, like Rexdale for real, like
Okay.
over the ends, right? So from there we go into, you know, riding bikes and playing baseball and street hockey, not even basketball yet at this point. So I only reached Mississauga for high school, right? So from then I'd say childhood was always fun. It's sports. It's like I said, it's all of my cousins were all.
So were you playing ball?
Yeah. So that's the all started in like high school. Because before it was like baseball, hockey, volleyball, but like come like grade 9, grade 10, that's like when basketball like really started to be a thing. So for me, childhood was fun. It was great because there's so many of us. So my cousins, there's always a bunch of people to ride bikes with and stuff like that. So all I remember about childhood was always just playing ball all day, riding bikes all day, and just always hanging out and stuff like that with my cousins, really.
What's one of your favorite family traditions? Because I know you guys have a couple, like, for the longest while, I'm getting that call, like, what are you doing up?
Yeah.
It's Christmas time, pull up.
That would really be it. Was like Uncle Chris's house again. RIP to Uncle Chris, boss man. His house was always the house that everybody always hung out with. So it was always fellowship. It was always where you'd catch up with everybody. Because even up until Redz left, it was the same thing. A lot of times, anytime that I've run into certain mans, is if you're at Red's house, you're gonna run into everybody. So those are always we've always had that. That's always been a thing in our family, going back from when we were in high school. Our houses were always the houses that everybody hung out with, ate at, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that would be the tradition that was always the dopest. Just on the weekends, going by Red's.
Who was the most influential person in your life growing up as a kid? You know, you always want to have that teenage, you're a kid, but they're a teenager, and you're like, yo, this guy's the guy here, you know?
That's interesting. You know, funny enough, it was just my other cousin.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Tight knit.
Yeah, very tight knit. And I think that's what helped us grow up in a way, because there was never no, worried about popularity or being the odd person out. Because to be real, I didn't need friends. Like, I had enough cousins that I didn't even need friends. We just happened to know everybody, because I was the type of guy that, like, I don't really care if you sat at this table, if you were the one that people call the nerd or the geek, or if you're popular, not popular. Like, I was always cool with everybody. So for me, like, yeah, as far as people I look up to, it's always just my bellas, man. They're the ones that I saw every day, that I would see doing things or making moves, and that I just resonated with the most. So coming up, it was always them.
You still playing ball?
Yeah, when I can get, it's hard to find runs now. When I can. But
So easier back in the day, like, it's so easier,
yeah.
I don't.
That's a big part of our big part of our life, man. It's those relationships that, to this day, I run into people that I don't know their name, and I'll see their face and they used to play at Sheridan. Like, to this day, 20 years, 30 years, and they'll still remember. They'll be like, "Oh, you still wear Iverson's first thing? You still wear Iverson's? Oh, that's what they say that day."
I remember it. I remember you for having hops.
Yep.
The springs, like bunnies.
Yep.
So put the gym, You're a man that loves cars.
Yes.
I know you love cars.
Yes.
So let's speak, like, when did that first love of car, when you realize, like, yo, I just love cars, guy, like?
My mother told me that before I could read, I could name every car that passed.
Oh.
Yeah. So always, like, since I used to always watch Knight Rider, A-Team, Arrow Wolf, Magnum PI or the Ferrari, Miami Vice with the Lambo. So you're talking, I'm dating myself, but you're talking like early 80s, right?
Yeah.
And I always had the Lamborghini and the Ferrari posters as a well.
The red Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. Or the white Testarossa and the black Countach. So that's just been with me from I was 2 years old. So that's just always been a love I've had. And then my uncle, Uncle Chris, RIP, he was always the cars too. So he always had the latest, Navigator or the Harley truck or the thing. So stuff. You might always have all the whips.
So who bust out the Navigator in that putting that? I think it was 3-6 Mafia, man.
Yep. Or no, I think it was Big Timers. I think it was Cash Money.
Oh, Cash Money. Yeah. That's yes. But yeah, man. So yeah, Navigators, Lincoln. Yeah, Lincoln Navigator. That's what it is, right? Yes.
So back in the day, like, my uncle always had the Lincolns and the Oldsmobiles and the Cutlasses, like all the real OG player whips from back in the day. So I always been into the cars.
All right, so the Mount Rushmore is at 5 positions, no?
Or that's real. It's 4.
4?
Yeah.
All right, let me hear your cars.
Cars?
Yeah, what's your Rushmore?
4
4 cars. If you could have 4 dream cars right now, they're like, yo, take it and go.
So we have the Lamborghini Aventador.
Okay.
SVJ, just because it's just loud, obnoxious. Yeah. We have the Koenigsegg Agera R, which is like a $10 million car. You have like maybe 20 of them in the world.
What is it, like a sports car?
Yeah, it's like a 2-door exotic. I just like the fast.
You like speed, yeah. I don't know. Why it's so dangerous though? Like, don't you want people to see you? Like, you want to shoot past the intersection, like no one sees you, like, you gotta drive by slow, like,
Those are the cars so that people see them, you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
So it's like, we have a Koenigsegg, we have a Aventador, we have this, so, like, I'm trying so hard because, like, there's so much cars I love.
Yeah.
I'll throw in,
I can tell you love those two for sure.
I'll throw in Pagani Huayra, another exotic car. And again, it's art, right? Because that's the thing about cars too, they can be arts. And then I'd probably throw like a Bugatti Super Sport in there, just as something that's recognizable. But yeah, man, my thing with cars is I like cars that are fast and rare.
Yeah.
So I like stuff that people don't have. Like even my old hoopty I have now, like you never see anybody in a SRT wagon because they didn't really make them.
Yeah. You know what's so crazy about that, bro? Is that they didn't keep coming out with it.
Exactly.
They did. So it's kind of, and I love that car when it first came. Exactly. I was like, this is neat. This is like stretch.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's fast, muscle car type. So even to this day, like even when I get cars, I always look for something that's you don't see a lot of, and it's hard to come by.
You own a couple cars?
Not anymore. I had to. I'm back to that one. So
okay, I see you post some different ones. I see you trying to different. Yeah. And you're into the system. Your systems don't play.
Yeah. That's something I've always been known for in the neighborhood too. Is the 215s and the Volkswagen and the 212s and the 300. Always into music and cars, man. Those are the two passions.
Yeah. Typical man, you know. What's the nicest car you've driven? Then you're like, yo, this, you'll never forget driving this car.
Shout out to one of our boys. One of our boys had a Bentley Super Sport. Back in the day.
Yeah.
And took that for a good drive. And that was when I was like, okay, this is the different level of cars. You're talking about 12-cylinder, twin turbo, 600 and several horsepower.
Yeah.
Just nasty.
So you give it give the gas a little love tap.
Of course.
What's your opinion on the car theft rate? And this leave your keys at the door thing that we heard for a bit. Speaking of cars.
Oh man, it's funny because it's very targeted. So it's very specific type of cars.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how our city got like this. And I think part of it, this is going to be controversial as well, but it always makes me...
Your opinion, you know what I mean?
I think part of it is because of how soft it is here in terms of just the laws and stuff and our inability to protect ourselves. Like, you know me, I go to the States a lot. So for me, I spent a lot of times in Atlanta, Florida, and places where, like, if you try to take someone's car, then you have to be ready to die about that. Like, you know what I mean? Just to be playing. Whereas here, it's like...
Yeah, but that was like the laws are different.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I think part of that comes from the way that our laws are. Here, it's like, steal the car. Even if I get caught, gonna be out tomorrow. It's like not a big deal. So I think our laws are kind of having that happen. But in terms of I just think it's terrible because people can't enjoy... You work hard for stuff and you can't even enjoy your stuff in the city.
But it's kind of a double-edged sword because whether like you're driving your car and a guy comes up to you with a firearm, and he's pointing at you, and then say you're not even by yourself, say you're with somebody else, and you're not knowing if they're catching on to your movements or like, you know what I mean? It's kind of a risk to take, you know what I mean?
It is. It's all risky.
It's kind of a risk to take, but I guess like for instance though, like. People's house doors are getting flied.
Even that now is crazily where we're at. And that's, I don't know, man. It's very sticky. What I will say is a car is a possession and you have insurance. So a car is never worth the potential danger and stress. The house though, I'm of the opinion, you go in someone's house, whatever you get,
I think Canada's law is meant to change a little bit, I feel.
Whatever you get, you get. Like, people shouldn't be... I don't know if we could have the conversation for a bit, but what do you think... Why do you think, like, the people that are doing this... What has happened that is making this become so popular now?
I feel because it's kind... I don't look at it as easy, but the way I'm hearing it, it's like... It's a machine that's doing everything.
Yeah.
So it's literally like plug this in right a day, and then there's a high demand for these cars.
Yeah.
And people, so you know what I mean? Like, it's like, bro, I don't know, man. It's kids that are doing that.
Yeah.
That obviously they want money. There's a love for money there. Right. So I just feel that it's hard, man. You come from nothing, and then somebody brings an opportunity and be like, yeah, man, I'll give you 30, 40 bands.
And that's the point, though. First of all, how much do you think they're really getting? Because in my mind, I'm thinking it's not even worth it.
It's not worth it.
In my mind, I'm thinking they're getting, $1,000, $2,000 if they're lucky. It happens fast, but I bring it up because I want to touch on issue. Obviously, you have a platform, but there's this issue, like you pointed out, it's a lot of young people doing it. And I was like, why is there no alternative to this? Why is this the best? Why do they feel this is the best option, A? And B, who are these people that are coercing them into this? And why do they look up to these people? Like, I'm trying to figure out how do we as people that are more positive, trying to do certain things with ourselves, like how do we become the people that they're looking to instead for a different direction and route? Like, why are so many of the young ones...
Okay, so let me ask you this now. And it's just, I've had this conversation numerous times.
Yeah.
So you're born fortunate. I'm born fortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know. My parents were struggling, but I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
But there's certain things when I look back and I ask, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we were struggling.
Yes.
You feel what
I came to that realization.
right? To some parents can't hide that.
Yeah.
And I feel that the fact that they can't hide it now, you kind of put the kid in the opportunity because he's like, oh, I can change my family's life. Or I could finally live a certain way really day, but they're not understanding the risk.
Yeah.
Can I say shit don't go the way they get caught up? You think they're gonna really change your life?
Yeah.
Just look at it like you got caught that time.
Yeah.
But if I get away,
Yeah.
I'm nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, again, I've been there, you don't value money when it comes in easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? When you have to work hard for it, bro, it's just like, yeah, are you sure? You think first, twice before giving somebody your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just think that, like, yo, some youths' backs are against the wall.
Yeah.
And you just met the wrong person.
Yeah.
And some people are just, some youths actually they know better, but like, like nobody wants to be patient to make that much money.
And it's crazy because I was thinking about it the other day, and it's like, I know so much people, or I know of there's so many people that, are plumbers, electricians, stuff that you don't even have to be genius to go do it. And I think what a lot of the kids that are in these situations, I don't want to say kids, a lot of the young adults or younger adults that are in this situation don't realize is these guys have way more money than these guys.
Yes.
And they're not looking over their back, and they can start their own, like, you know what I mean? It's like, but to your point, there's some work involved.
It's parenting, right? I think it boils down to parenting, man.
Yeah.
Because if you bust your ass and show your kid, oh, this is what I had to do to give you opportunity.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna, if you're busting your ass and it doesn't show, then the kid probably gonna look at it like,
I don't want to bust that. I just do that.
And this is not working.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my own way.
Yeah.
Try something different.
Yeah.
And when you're younger too, you're only seeing the jewelry at the day. They're not you don't know that this guy even has any money in his shoebox.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what comes that is like, people don't live humble either. They got them in humble. They're like, oh, easy come, easy go. I'm gonna buy this Gucci stuff. I'm gonna buy that Louis.
Yeah.
Really, when it comes in, like, what?
Yeah.
You're not thinking like that.
Yeah.
To go spend that big money on a shirt. If you do it, that shirt's coming out once in the blue, bro.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
that's something that weighs on me a lot, not because I think you can save everyone, but I feel as if though, because I agree, like you can't, I don't believe in telling a kid, I don't believe in telling someone, yo, don't get money like that, and then you don't tell them how they can get money. Like, I don't believe in, oh, don't do this, it's bad, but they're not providing them a solution. Like, I don't think that's helpful. So I've been like racking my brain. That's something that I think a lot of the time is like, what's the solution for this? Because I know there's so much people making crazy amounts of money, and it's not behind no nonsense. And it's stuff that everybody can do if they choose to lock into it.
the cyber trucks.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those?
Trash.
Trash, eh?
Trash.
How about the
I don't like
cyber, Kausa, computerized? How do you feel about that?
I don't like the electric cars personally, but it's because I'm a purist, right? I'm a motorhead fan. I like motors. I like noise. I actually drove a Cybertruck the other day just to see what it was like. I went to the auto show and how it drives them. It drives good. Yeah. It drives good. It's
bulletproof too, right?
So they say.
Yeah. You want to say like? Because you didn't never got shot at.
Yeah. Exactly. So they say. I'm not going to test it out, but.
No, but I would think like, yo, if you like knock on the
I've seen
Like the glass, can you tell it's the glass?
no, the glass is sticks. So I can tell that I can see that they've done the test, but again, it's always everything's a grain of salt, right? A 22 and a 223 are the same, right?
No, so
You could say it's bulletproof.
So I was looking at this next question, cause like again, I was trying to have you on this show a long time ago. Finally got you on here.
Yeah. I told you I'd pull up as soon as I
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're very enthusiastic. Very enthusiastic. I can't lie. Like I said, I've told people this before. All the real entrepreneurs, they check their email first of all.
Yeah.
And they're like, they didn't itch, bro. They're like, yeah, I didn't get to like fully explain my role, what I'm really trying to do. From when I said, yeah, you get to talk about your brand, you're like, oh, I'm on there.
Yeah.
And I read that, you know?
For me, it was more seeing what you're doing and having an understanding of the importance of collaboration and networking and advocating for each other in different spaces.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, my next question was to do with Trump
Okay.
and his new policies, to the point where you're hearing companies gonna start building their cars in the States. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's not a bad thing. See, a lot of I know the Trump thing pushes so much people's buttons. First of all, as people, especially as men, you have to be able to separate your emotions. I think that's another thing I want to touch on too, is that I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in our community is a lack of emotional intelligence and being able to control our emotions, because we make a lot of decisions from a place of emotion that gets us in trouble. But anyways, when you look at what Trump is saying, a lot of the stuff he says, the way he delivers it might be bad, but the policies aren't horrible. You have to think about self-sufficiency. If you look at the world in terms of economics, so much stuff we depend on China for, all these other places for cheap labor, cheap materials. So again, what happens when you get into a tip with these places? You have nothing. You've built out everything in all these different places. You have nothing. When you can start to bring jobs into your backyard where the local person has an opportunity to participate in the local economy and stuff like that, that's how you build up a good economy. So to me, I think it's, look at Detroit. Like, that whole industry was built on Ford, Chevy, GM. Like, that was decades. That was literally like a generation. Like, that's generational right there, having those plants there. And we saw the importance of that. And then we saw what happened when they took those away and started to shut them down, how Detroit deteriorated into nothing. So you saw the effects of what happens when those jobs go other places. So to me, I just look at him as someone that's a patriot to his country, doing what he has to do for what he feels is in the best interest of his people. And I think for us as
He's a businessman.
And I think for us as Canadians, we've leaned on the US and places very heavily before, when we have a lot of resources here too. Like, you have a lot of oil, a lot of land. There's so much resources we have here that we could take advantage of. But we're like British monarchy, cousins to the States or whatever. Yeah. There's a lot we could be doing too for ourselves to make ourselves a stronger nation as well. And I think that's important.
What's your opinion on the carbon tax?
I'm honestly I'm not super political, so I'll say I'm more of an economist than I am into politics. So,
well, we pay that, and then look how much trees.
My thing is,
It makes sense.
that's the thing. So that's to answer your question. A lot of these taxes, I don't understand. I understand the need for taxes as it goes with our economy, but these certain little carbon tax, or they try to do all these special taxes, to me, it's just a money grab. But there's so many different things you could do, or different programs you could implement to do the same thing without it being a tax, quote unquote. So for me, I just think it's all nonsense, and I don't know where they get it from. And I guess people are still trying to fight against it, so we'll see where that lands. But again, dating myself, I'm from a time when GST was supposed to be temporary. So here we are. You thought of that. Holy, here we are.
Yeah.
So
She's mandatory.
What do you think your purpose is? What do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
now I see my purpose as a facilitator. So in that, I see myself as a bridge between different people and places and being able to collaborate and build community. So I just see myself as a piece to bring community together. So I think the legacy will end up being that of community, like somebody that was one thing I'm very known for is showing love and support and do shows by example. Yeah, so I think that's really the legacy, because I think once you realize that there's nothing wrong with supporting somebody, like me supporting your podcast isn't going to take away from me doing a podcast. Me supporting your clothing line isn't going to take away from my clothing line. And I think that when people get more into the habit of collaboration over competition, I think you'll start to see bigger movements and more things happen.
Okay. What's one thing, we're gonna come to the end. One more question I want to ask you. What's one thing people need to say less and do more?
Say less and do more. Their plans. Stop talking about what you want to do and just take small actions every day and stay consistent and get it done.
Yeah. Well, Dale, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Pleasure to be.
Pleasure. Yo, those kicks are sick, my guy.
Yeah, I still like
Yeah, those are nice. Those are nice. Nice having you on the show. Good. Yeah. Let's go. That's good, man. That was
the Black Wealth Co. on Instagram.
Yeah. Tell the people you're
Yeah, real quick, we'll put this in here somewhere on Instagram. Follow the brand at the Black Wealth Co. It's all about positivity, networking, entrepreneurship, business mindset. And then go on the blackwealthcollective.com for updates on all of our events, merch, anything we got going on is on the website.
Yeah, we're gonna be posting your stuff too. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link for you and all the links and all that.
For sure.
Yeah, man. But yeah, it was very good having you on the show. A good carb. You see, showing good and chopping up. That's why I didn't want to say too much, because we haven't got to sit down in a minute.
Yeah,
and then chop it up. And I was just like, you know what? I'm watching and I'm seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? This guy has the same type of energy and the same type of showing that same type of love that I want to show.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, you know what I mean? I'm very big on energy, and I feel like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You're somebody that's gonna be in my circle, man. 100%. I mean, I'm gonna say, show the love, man. Consistency is key, brother. 100%.